morning, everyone. Salam sejahtera and Happy New Year. So we are happy to be the first here to do some sharing in the Penang Northern chapter, and I'm very grateful for your presence today. This is Saturday morning, taking your Saturday morning off to be here. So I won't be taking too much of your time because I will just start off the morning sessions. Before I start my topic, I'd like to introduce our company, Swissma. So there's a video that I want to play, and shall we?
In the still rapidly developing nation, new buildings sprout each day as a sign of advancement of society, both in technology and aesthetic. Swissma has been leading the total solutions provider for roofing and wall cladding in Malaysia. Equipped with the highest technological support and innovation, our team put great care in our work. Aiming for total customer satisfaction by advanced research and fulfilling the needs of our clients, Swissma guarantees everlasting returns for stakeholders, while also providing precision manufacturing along with customized fabrication, creating endless possibilities. Our services include on-site production, providing installation training, craftsmanship quality, engineering and R&D, technical and architectural consultation, receiving multiple award-winning titles such as the Brand Laureate Best Brands Award 2015-2016, Sinjin Business Excellence Awards 2016, the Brand Laureate Best Brands Award 2016-2017, the Brand Laureate Best Brands Award 2017-2018. Swissma offers sustainable customized solutions using different materials such as aluminium, stainless steel, copper, titanium zinc, TPO PVC membrane that is FM approved. Most importantly, working in strategic partnership with NS Busco Malaysia for solutions in color bonded steel. Also not limited to specialized projects being public amenities and infrastructure, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, residentials.
Our company philosophy is to provide products and services of highest quality, with sincerity and integrity.
With high-quality materials and top-notch service, we are one of the top providers for the industry with a guarantee of satisfaction and excellence in our name. Swissma, your innovative and trusted total solution provider for roofing and cladding.
Okay, I think the video kind of gives you a good idea what we do in our business. But just to sum up, we are actually providing total solutions for roofing and cladding. By that, what we do is we design the roof system. We have our factory to manufacture the products. In certain projects, we also undertake the installation work as a nominated subcontractor or sometimes as a domesticated subcontractor. So, before we design the roof system, I think most importantly, we need to know the project requirements. So we have to understand what is the project needs. And this will be one of the key elements in most projects now. The U value, the thermal insulation. Of course, later on I will share with you the UBBL Clause 38A requirements. Previously, this doesn't take center stage. A lot of insulation are just nominal. Today, I think projects are getting more sophisticated. There are some thermal requirement that is even more stringent than the mandatory requirements. So then again, we are able to customize the roof system to meet acoustic value. Let's say a convention center, lecture halls, hospital or whatever, where there is a specific acoustic requirements, we can customize the roof to meet the STC value. We have the software. Oops, bit of technical hiccup. So I think what we do is, besides coming up with a customized roof system, we will also able to give budget to the project, to the system. And I think having the budget is, from my knowledge, very important, not only to QS, to the architect as well, because you want to know for that customized roof, what's the cost? And sometimes we can also do some value engineering for certain acoustic system that was prescribed by the acoustic consultant, because the consultant might not know the actual installation requirements. They can prescribe you the layers that they want, but in terms of installation, that's where we come in to advise. Okay, this gutter downpipe sizing, also we use software to do the sizing. Then, of course, most importantly, as an architect, the shop drawings. Whether the project is well executed or not, I think this is quite the fundamentals. The shop drawings. If you don't provide the details, don't expect contractors to know what to do, and they use their own standards. And when things happen, now who is right, who is wrong? Their practice versus your standards. But if you don't have a drawings, then there is no standard to refer, unless you ask them to submit shop drawings for approval, which I do encourage, because that's where you are in control. So we can provide shop drawings. So once we understood your project requirements, then we will customize the roof. Customizing the roof is not just about the layering of the component, it's also selecting the right profiles due to your project, maybe long length, low pitch, or the geometry is 3D in design, for example. Then as a company, we actually provide a very wide range of material for your selections, right from color-bond steel down to TPO membrane, and in between, but even pure titanium, right? I'm still looking for a project that will be interested. Titanium zinc, yes, we have done in Penang as well. So, but when it comes to coated steel, we work with NS Brusco as a strategic business partner. We only sell Brusco coated steel. Why? Because you can see from the earlier slides, we sell quality solutions. So I think in coated steel, Brusco has exhibited their quality over the years, and they are also the leader in the market for coated steel. As a company, we provide the widest range of products, I would say. We have separated into two categories. One we call the architectural series, where we have the double weld standing seam, wrinkle weld, snap weld, zip weld, even the cassettes cladding, metal tiles, membrane, and next we have our Sanko roof series. Before I move to the Sanko series, this elaboration, this double arch standard seam, we are one of the pioneers to introduce this in the market. It's actually a very European system. Malaysia used to have metal roof introduced to the market in the early days from Australia. So the clip lock type roof was one of the earlier metal roof in the market. But standing seam, we introduced it, it's a very European profile. And I always say, like in a restaurant last night, we were looking at the menu, always ask the captain, what's your signature dish, right? Zhao Pai Cai. So this is our Swissma signature profiles. Because why? Because this is the most versatile profile. It can do all shapes. Only this profile can do all shapes, like this. On the right hand side, that is a Penang project. That's a Penang swimming club done in titanium zinc. You can see the complexity of the design. So the other categories is called Sanko series. Sanko is a Japanese brand. Sanko Japan is our partner, so is Nippon Steel Japan. So this product, Sanko, has been in Malaysia since 1974. 1974 is the time when Dr. M calls for Look East policy, and that's when the first wave of foreign direct investors were the Japanese. That's why Nippon Steel and Sanko were interested to set base in Malaysia. And the early days, all the Japanese factories were using Sanko products. And you can see there's a wide range. I will not go into all the products. I'll just mention this is the, like I said, the clip lock profile, which is the most sellable. We have it, we call it Grip Deck 310. And just want to touch base, this is a very Japanese system. We call it the Sanko seam lock roof. Some of the audience here has already done project using this profile. And it's a very robust deep corrugation profile. So it can go on very low pitch. Example, even 1 degree, you can go up to 200 meters. So because of the deep corrugation. And this is a concealed fix again. And it's widely used in Japan, a very common system, because it's very good against strong wind uplift on countries like Japan. So this is how the seam lock is installed. So there's a motorized seamer, so it's very, very secure and is completely leak-proof. So we also have another very deep corrugation profile. It looks like a gutter actually. And this profile, the unique strength is due to its high section modulus, which is the inherent strength of the profile. It can go on a purling spacing of even up to 11 meters. But the thickness is of course not the 0.42, it's like 1 mm or 1.2. So when you have a project where you, like this hall for example, there's no false ceiling. You don't want to see the purlins like the factory or warehouse, then you can design your steel structure, you see a very neat structure. So you don't see, looks like a warehouse or factory. So this is where it can come into play. Lastly, I'll just showcase some of those projects that we have done. I think this is a design tender we bid as a domesticated subcontractor, which is using the standing seam. This is where the next highlight will be, shared by architect Ryan Tan, Sama Square, award-winning project. And this is very good illustrations of economical application for facade cladding. This building is an existing building. It was painted, plastered brick wall, or rather hollow block wall, and an extension to that using drywall because the co-owner with Satir is Landis. Australia, they like to use drywall system. So the extension was drywall, and together the whole phase 1, phase 2 is now cladded with a colour-bond Sanko speed deck. This is a corrugated deck. So it's very economical and it looks perfect in that design. This is IYC Timor, a very challenging project, you can see the geometry. The biggest challenge is not the shape of the roof, but you can see the skylight. When your roof has to intersect with a lot of skylights, this is not an easy project, okay? How to make it leak proof. So this is another shopping mall project. And mosque, this is a very modern mosque. We are currently doing another mosque, which is a very, very nice mosque in Patasas, in Pahang. This is supposed to be completed for the Sultan of Pahang when he stepped down and is still ongoing. So maybe due to the complexity of the steel structure. This is a private bungalow in, like I said, standing seam can do any geometry. So this is another modern bungalow. Mass housing in standing seam. Again, some other images. The A shape of the barn house design now very popular. Hangar, next. Hangar project phase 2 is now on tender. This hangar, when you see hangar means very wide span, means very long length. So this is C-block profile that completed. This is Ferrotech, home base here. This is also challenging in the sense it was very fast track in nature. But it's completed. This is another project by Sandabi. Now they sold it to Seming. Okay, now in KL it's very popular for multi-story warehouse. I think that will come into the next state as well. Sandabi is very into it. This is Logos, the warehouse. It's 40, 50 up to 60 meter tall multi-story. Okay. So this is another typical factories with a lot of skylights. Again, this was the first Logos warehouse in Kuala Lumpur. And currently we are supplying a lot to this kind of light industry in KL to Sandabi. And that's the all for a brief introduction of Swissmart. And now I move on to the topic for this morning. Okay. The content. So I'll be sharing with you some customized cooling system to meet UBBL Clause 38A. I'm sure all of you are already doing project compliance because it's mandatory. What I'm going to share is the construction method, right? And how, just to give you some basic knowledge, how you can develop your system to meet the U value. Back to the content. Then I will be sharing on oil canning, something that you are familiar with, and flashing, detailing, and use of proper tools. And lastly, customized shop drawing, sharing nice shop drawings. Okay, let's move on. Okay, UBBL Clause 38A. So it started with MS 1525, alright? I think Penang State was always very advanced compared to other states. When it was at 1525, I think Penang State government already adopted the U value. That was then not mandatory. Before 2680 came out for residential, and of course now it has evolved and adopted in UBBL, which becomes mandatory throughout the country. So this is an extract of the UBBL Clause 38A, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. And actually it's very simple calculations. I'm just sharing, right? So sounds like a big deal, U value, but if you break it down, this is a simple formula. So the K is thermal conductivity. Again, loose connection, sorry for that. Yeah, so just quick sharing. You can also sometimes do your own checking. So the K is thermal conductivity, which is a material property, which I'll show you. So the thermal resistance R value is actually the material thickness over the K, and U value that you are supposed to comply with, which is the thermal transmittance, is 1 over R. The higher the R, the lower the U, okay? So this example of the K value, this is a fiberglass wool, is published in their material catalogs. For example, here is a 16 kg density, 50 mm thick on the cross there. So the K value is 0.0366. So that's the value you plug in when you do your calculation. Next. That's the rock wool. The value is quite similar, right? So this is how the calculation basically, fundamentally is developed. It's very simple. So the red column, D, is the thickness of the insulation, rock wool or fiberglass or any other insulation material. There are also PIR and other PU and so forth. Then you got a lambda is the K value. And then you have your R on the last column. And then you add up the values and then you get the total R, and the U is inversely proportional to that. So this is a guidebook developed by jointly with RIMM and GBI. Before this, it was the real challenge to come up with the calculations other than the fundamentals using pure thickness of insulation. Today, we all refer to this guidebook. And here you can see there's a table, enclosed airspace. Everyone knows that air is a good insulator, but before this, nobody knows how to assign value. And we can assign value based on research data from a professor in the US, but it's not easy to get people to recognize. But today, we are very happy that there's a publication. You can refer to this. Next. Yeah, this is another table. Yeah, this is also from the same publication, attic space, right? We all know, again, attic space will contribute towards your thermal value. So now there is a value that you can assign. And this is based on AS NZS 4859 standards. Previously, most of the calculation, we use the column here, non-reflective for the aluminium foil, where the value for horizontal is only 0.1617. Today, if you do the right specification, you ensure the installation is correct, you can move up the value to 0.8. So this is very important. To adopt 0.8, you must be specifying the right type of foil and also the installation, because aluminium foil, I'm not sure whether you are aware, when you say double-sided aluminium foil, it doesn't mean both sides is laminated with aluminium. Do you know that? It's only one side. One side metallized, one side aluminium. So their performance is different. To adopt the 0.8 value, the aluminium side must face downwards. If your metallized facing downwards, then your R is 0.16. So in your drawing specification, you have to specify and make sure it's done correctly, then you get 0.8. It's big. So we used to go for 0.17 because if there's no control, then you don't know what you're getting. But if you want to save cost, naturally use the 0.8 next. So in this case, we use the 0.8, right? So you can see the rock wool is compressed from 75 is the typical thickness available, compressed to 65, only 65 mm thick. With the fall facing down, using 0.8, you can achieve the U value. If I use the R of 0.17, which we used to adopt previously, you have to use a thicker wool, 100 compressed to 85, minimum 85. So here again, I just want to share. Previously, there was a lot of confusion. You all use bubble foil, any of you? Bubble foil? I'm not running down product, I'm just sharing technical information. They thought bubble foil do magic. No need rock wool, no need whatever. Thick bubble foil, Kautim can meet U value. There's no such thing, alright? So again, I'm sharing this because There is, you can see across, there you got 0.118, the other side you got 2.289. All you need is 2.5 to get U or 0.4. You got 2.289, you're almost there. So they thought you can achieve using a bubble form. Only then, if you use a thicker one, the answer is no. No, okay, why? This is the test. The responsible for manufacturer will tell you, but irresponsible or ignorant salespeople, they do not tell you that this is okay, this is tested without air gap. That's why the R value. Sorry. So when you just take the bubble foil and install like normal over the plate and put your bag, there's no air gap top and bottom. Right? There is no R value. R value is very nominal. If you take the basic foil without bubble, it's almost zero. The R is almost zero, or practically zero. Here you get some value from that 10 mm air trap. So next slide. So here, sorry. Here, the test, these are tests done for 50 mm air gap for top and bottom. The R value shot up. So in construction, when you use this value, your foil must have an air gap on top and bottom. So how do you construct that? You don't construct it that way. So when you don't construct with the air gap on top, there is no such R value. So it's always the previous one. And I just want to share because I have come across architects who are confused. They say, I use this, I got a big R. Why do I need to use rock wool or fiberglass? The answer is yes, you have to construct it to meet the same test. So again, in roof, we classify as two categories, single skin and double skin. So for single skin roof system, it is before the U value compliance was enforced. I would say for my 37 years of experience in the roofing industries, right? Before that is always this, right? There is no question asked. Most straightforward. Either you use rock wool or fiberglass wool, or even single layer of foil, even single-sided aluminium foil. Sudah cukup. Those days. I have to unlearn those things to learn new things because those days aluminium foil was pitched as a radiant barrier. You see, it reflects heat. So why do you need insulation? It already reflects 90% of the heat, right? So it's not true. For the foil to achieve the thermal resistance, you must have an air gap. That's the bubble foil test proof that value, okay, tested. So this one definitely won't need any compliance. So now, in the early days, we proposed this system 100 mm compressed to 85. Like I said earlier, because we are not assured that the foil is installed the way it's supposed to be, then this will be the safest approach. And you need 85 mm. You need 85, cukup makan 0.39 U value. It can be lower than 0.4 but not more. So this one is cukup makan 85. If you bring down to 75 or 80, you can't meet. So in the market there is no 85 mm thick wool, there's 100. So we use 100 to compress. But then again, we also intentionally pick a system where there is compression. You know why? The compression of the wool against your metal deck is very important as well, because metal deck most of the time has got two major concerns, right? What are the two big concerns come to metal roof? Wow. heat, right? Always heat. And next, noise. Imagine this roof on the top is without insulation, and if it's raining now, I have to speak very loud. First, the rain noise will drown the acoustic here. So to dampen rain noise, you need the insulation to be in compression so that it absorbs the vibration. The metal roof is like a drum, you know. So when rain hits, it vibrates. The minute it hits a certain resonance, the noise gets amplified. Orang kampung biasa, because kampung house they have insulation, right? You sleep soundly. So here, quick sharing how you construct. Most of the time you see theory, right? So on site, how do you actually construct the roof to meet the U value? That's what I'm trying to share. So here, quick one, the roof purlins. BRC mesh, optional, right? Nowadays, again, due to budget, the mesh is taken away. But here, even if you need a mesh, we recommend BRC mesh, not just for flooring. Why? The days of chicken mesh to me is over. Right? Those days is compulsory to use chicken wire mesh. Why? Because the technology has changed. Last time, aluminium foil was made from Sysacraft paper. It does not have strength. You need the mesh. Chicken mesh should be at the chicken coop because it's very low quality, okay? Low quality. Not even fit for fighting cock for your normal chicken because it rusts very quickly. So this is optional. And then you have your foil. Then you put, this is a new thing to comply with the UBBL. You need this component. Later I'll share how other ways. So here, Swissmar, we like to have a hybrid system of top hat. Come see. Okay, what's the function of this? Okay, after this, then you lay your insulation. So I was saying that you use 100 mm thick wood, right? Then how do you compress to 85? So this is where the control comes in. We call this the subgird. The height of your top hat is designed to 85. So when you install your metal roof, you press it, the max it can go is up to 85. That's how you control. If you want 65, then your top hat has to be 65. Right? So double skin roof system is basically the same except your, like this, except your bottom layer instead of the foil is your metal deck, and I strongly recommend this kind of roof system because you really don't want the chicken wire mesh, you don't want the BRC, you still see the fiberglass. The aluminum foil. So this liner deck will act as a sealing and also will prevent your insulation from falling off over a long time, especially exposed to weather. And for acoustic roof system, this is mandatory. You must have a double skin roof. Single skin roof will not achieve the acoustic value. Just like partition, you can have a 25 mm thick gypsum board, single layer. The STC is very poor. But you have 12 separated infill, even with nothing, the STC will show up. You put infill, it will even perform better. Same principle, right? So a lot of misconception, partition, I take 25 mm, I'm good. No, you better off with 6.6 or 9.9 with an air gap. So the same, except the first layer is just a metal deck, and this is good for construction because to do so many layers takes time. Underliner very fast. You can fix once you get the liner done. You are weather tight. You can do concurrent work, internal and external. So it's the same. Another system I want to share, because you just play with the technical principle, you can develop a system, right? Here is using air cavity. You have a Z spacer, I show Z spacer, 100 mm tall. Your wool is only 50 mm thick. Once you place your wool on top, you have a gap 50 mm, right? Because your Z is 100. So the 50 mm gap, on top of that, you lay another foil with the aluminium side facing inwards. Then with this, you can achieve what we call a reflective air space that has an R value. So that is the MGDC guidebook, the R value for pitch of 0 to 5, for 50 mm thick, 50 mm air gap, reflective air gap, you get a 1.114 R, which is very good. So in this system, we utilize air. So here, as highlighted, amplified 1.124. So in the calculation, you can see, okay, the metal bag as a conductor, there is a 0 value. The reflective airspace 50 mm, 1.12. Right? Then your wool 50 mm. Then together, here I even use a surface film of 0.17, not even 0.8. I could achieve the U value. Right? But that is a reflective airspace. So if I don't face the aluminum down, although there's an aluminum fall, it doesn't apply the R value. And if I don't have the aluminum fall, just the air cavity is called non-reflective airspace. The value is 0.1 something, very low here. Alright, so there is a reflective and non-reflective. Again, now in this hall, for example, in any building, residential, commercial, if you have a false ceiling, then, like I said, making use of the attic space from the ceiling space, because you want to optimize cost, right? So there is another system, and you only need 50 mm wool. Yeah, so I just want to emphasize again, a system with wool compressions will be a holistic solution because you will also address rain noise. If you say it's a big warehouse, nobody's working, rain shine is okay, fine. But if it's a meeting room, an important room where acoustic is very important, then make sure you have a system that compresses. Sometimes we are all driven by budget, especially when your design goes to the QS and comes to us. We know what to do. Every time we go for the best, the budget is not there. So out we go. You know? So we have to compromise between budget and performance. So architect will play the role of performance. You are governing performance. Don't blame the QS, they govern budget. You are the SO, so you have to explain to create a budget. That's my take. So again, those Sango series are self-supporting because they have the corrugation, they have the strength. You're all very familiar with those roofs. Some of you might not be familiar with standing seam roof. Standing seam roof the roof is between rooms 525, right? It's a flat sheet with a raised 25 mm or 30 mm height. So a flat sheet is a piece of paper but no strength, right? Until you fold it, right? We're going to do the simple experiment. So this we call a non-self-supporting roof. You cannot just lay this over the purlins. You step on it, what's going to happen, right? So to do this roof system, the standing seam for those who are uninitiated is actually a seam, like your Coca-Cola can is folded. So it's standing, that's why it's a standing seam, right? So here, the standing seam have substrates. You can use solid plywood, cement board, or metal deck. Metal deck will be the best choice because plywood, they have a concern for termites. Cement board has got not much structural strength, okay, and also very poor pull-out strength. A 12 mm ply versus 12 mm cement board, which is better? Acoustic-wise, cement board, because acoustic density, 1390 kg density. Plywood only about 600. But then again, the pull-out strength is what you have to consider. I've seen projects specified 9-12 mm cement board, and then this is fixed on top of it. The pull-out strength is very poor. You've got a concern about wind uplift. That's why today, not surprised, under strong wind, some roof will give way, either due to poor design, poor workmanship, or what other reasons. One of the reasons avoidable is don't do something like that. No. So let me show you quick. Same, everything is the same, okay? Except here. Here you put your clip system straight away, but here you put the metal deck or your plywood or whatever. This is your support for the standing seam. Okay, that's the difference. So here the standing seam construction method, I will not go into detail. We have a noise damping foam again. In our system, we always consider noise damping as well. Then you have your standing seam. So that's the difference. Now, having said that, I also concerned that, so as long as there's an insulation to achieve, I can install the U value. So, for example, if you don't put the speed deck on the support, you just straight away install over the wood. If you want that system, can, but you must use incompressible wood. We have done projects like the Sabah KK Airport. We actually value designed the whole system very straightforward using hard rock, 175 kg density of wood. You can stand on it. It's the insulation you use for membrane roof. You know, membrane is like cloth, right? So you can install membrane over a hard rock. Now, if you don't, this live project, right? Live project, the specs was our customer told us that you can actually do what I mentioned earlier, and we said no. So they're not convinced because a lot of others have done this way, but let me show you why it cannot be done. Below that is the normal density wood, also a rubber foam and foam. Well, there is no rigid support, so it's like a water bed. This is project done, I don't want to mention, it's actual project. Next. So standing seam, like I said, you can imagine it's flat piece of material with a resin. So you must have a rigid support. I'll show this video because there are projects done without. Alright. Okay, so this consequence, this is no more oil canning. This is a gimmick already dented. Right? If you drive around KL, you can see some of these. In fact, and now you understand why this is definitely not oil canning. Okay? Oil canning is not like this. So I mentioned we got our hybrid top hat come C. There is the Z spacer, most commonly used Z spacer. Why? Again, we are hard pressed for price competitiveness. Z uses the least material, so it's the cheapest. I won't say it cannot be used. The installer must be skilled. The minute you get your first few pieces properly aligned and installed, it ties up. The main weakness is stability, as you can see. So if you can cut carefully install your first few pieces and tie it up, then it becomes stable, then you can do your job. But if you don't do that job well, if the zag were to topple, it impact your installation. So then again, a stable profile would be a top hat, very stable. Then you can see the utilization of material, so the cost is higher. So that's why we innovate, we do a hybrid, right? Maybe next will be EV. We haven't come to that, we still a hybrid. So we combine the top hat with the channel, because with this you stand is stable. You avoid the zag, instability of the zag. And if you are talking about project that got serious calculation requirement or compliance requirement like FM approved project, right? Then this is the most stable form of construction, a double top hat. A top hat that secured itself directly to the building as a support. Then top is your actual top hat. This is the most stable and the strongest construction method. So for normal project, I could hardly find budget for this, to be honest. But this would be the preferred. So I share this because it's become a hot topic in Klang Valley, because now a lot of shop lots are using lightweight truss, correct? Lightweight truss become the new thing. So lightweight truss has got one problem to install the zag spacer, because the batten very narrow, right? As narrow as 30, 25. So when you put a zag, it's very unstable. Worse still, the batten is very thin. Not like Berlin 1.62 mm, this is I even seen 0.40. So you step on it, the screw also get loose. So that's the biggest challenge. But honestly, if you want to use that, you still can. You've got to specify the width of your top hat to be at least minimum 40. Then you have stability. And also enhance the thickness. Goodness sake, I'm an engineer. I'm very worried about lightweight truss system on metal roof. Nobody concerned about wind uplift. I just mentioned earlier, cement rod got big pull-out strength. If you put a screw on the batten that is 0.40 mm, what do you think? The pull-out strength, very weak, right? So a lot of people ignore. Even JKR, okay, they are a bit more concerned about bolt truss uplifting at one point. So this is something to take note. You can dictate what you want if you are doing metal roof. Concrete tiles are fine because it's sitting pretty, it's taking dead load. The PE endorsement only talk about dead load. Wind uplift is proprietary system concern, not the PE. If the wind got uplifted, you say you PE, you sign, you're responsible. You know, my calculation is all dead load. That's proprietary concern. A lot of people have false confidence on the PE. So here, what I want to share is, go back to concrete tiles days. Concrete tiles, how do you install your aluminum foil? It's over your rafters, and your batten sits on it, right? Sits on your foil, right? So if you have a batten that is 50 mm tall, right, and you lay your foil across your rafter, the 50 mm tall that you don't need a zag spacer, because then you infill your wool, then you have your 50 mm. The key thing is you must not allow compression, right? I have projects where we have submitted mock-up with the zag, and contractor was asking who is paying. I said, of course, the roofing contractors. We have no budget for this. But I said calculation is 50 mm. All the components there, fall 50 mm is there, and it's constructed but without zag. Then where is your 50 mm thickness? Is really not achievable. So you must have the zag. So now in KL, they go back to concrete tiles days, but if you want this, you must specify the baton to be 50 mm because it's not standard. A lot of 38. So you must know what the system calls for and you must specify clearly. Alright, this is sharing. This is how it's done now. Some projects. But of course, it's difficult to lay the fall neat because you're spanning across the other way, right across the rafter. You say there's 1,001 way to skin a cat. This is another way, but you have to be prepared. You know that your fall is installed before your roof comes. There's a concrete house. So if your fall is poor quality, by the time it comes, there's a deterioration. Okay, oil canning. I think everyone knows. The key point is oil canning is a characteristic. It's not a defect. Okay. And it's an inherent characteristic, especially for cold roll products. So it has small impact on the structural integrity. Now, what can impact oil canning or accentuate oil canning? This example, thermal expansion, let's say standing seam, later I share, or even for standing seam, the seaming. All these are contributing towards material thickness is the easiest to address. A thicker material will have less oil canning. This is what I'm talking about. You've got sliding clips and fixed clips. If it's a roof that's very long and somehow they end up to cut costs all fixed clips, when you try to expand and include it, so you buckle there, it will contribute oil canning, saturate oil canning. So for standing seam, normally for facade wall cladding, we recommend to use winkel weld instead of double weld. This is strong enough. Why? Because the more you work on the roof, the more you subject to stress. It's not easy to follow, honestly. You need a very experienced guy. I always say, same recipe given char kway teow to everyone, right? Nobody can beat the guy in Lorong Selamat, right? Because it's his expertise. Same here, nothing beats experience. So when you evaluate a contractor, make sure that they can prove to you they have done projects and they also use the same contractors up. So other factors, uneven or absence of substrate, like I said, you need support for product extension. Okay, and of course workmanship will be one of the biggest factors. And if the workmanship is no good, even a simple screwing is causing distortion, will induce stress. It's all about stresses. Human being got stress, product also will be stressed. So flat surface, of course, the wider the flat surface, the more likely to have oil canning. So again, there's an inherent manufacturing stress from the coil itself to the roll forming. So the way to go about is select a reputable supplier or manufacturer. So you can see here, this is what I call a very white flat surface, and you don't have a lot of issues on oil canning on this profile. Why? Because the flat surface is very limited. But again, if you take this and extend wider and you don't apply this, you will also have that oil canning effect. So this is what I meant. Now, how to minimize oil canning? Of course, I mentioned earlier, the thicker the better the material. And matte finish is a visual effect. So something glossy, right? You see the oil canning very obvious. Color choice, again, lighter color tend to have less visual impact on the oil canning. And also time of the day, I got some customer saying, wow, very serious oil canning. But next day, it's hey, without the sun, looks okay. So it's alive. On a bad day, on a hot day, it expands, there's a thermal movement, it will happen. And it's nothing much you can control except allow for thermal expansion. Again, a textured surface tends to diffuse the reflection. Like I said earlier, narrower panel width. Of course, you can, like the normal clip locked up profile, you got mini ribs, you got striation. But for a standing seam profile and you add on this component, I think it spoils the aesthetic. Why we call it architectural profile. Imagine a standing seam with all that, it looks like a clip lock profile. No difference, you lose your appeal. You address that, but you lose your appeal. But all canning has to be educated. If the client cannot accept absolute oil canning, you're in trouble. I'm in bigger trouble. All right? Education is important. Show them images. Everywhere overseas, in Europe, you see. I travel with my family. I'm always the last in the pack because I always take photographs of roof and wall, especially to understand how they work. Standing seam come from Europe, in European country, is natural, is accepted. So this is what I mean. Adding mini ribs like this, then it looks like clip lock profile, right? So no more the architectural appeal. Okay, cover the oil canning now, flashing details. For Sanko series, this becomes a standard ridge capping. You actually screw. This project, we even have different color of the capping to match the roof because multi-color. So it's still a screw fix system, and this is the standard. But time to ask yourself, if your roof is a concealed fixed roof, right, lock, that's why you want, right? No screw, no puncture, no. But your ridge is punctured all the way. And the most important part, in the middle of the building. Can you overcome? The answer is yes. You can do a concealed fixed ridge capping. Even for a simple clip-on type of profile, you can do a concealed fix. The only thing is you must provide the drawings to the QS, get the right budget. Otherwise, who is going to pay for the BO? Because the contractor will never cost for it. And the day-to-day challenge I encountered is not budgeted for by the QS because it's not detailed, right? If the QS overlook the detail, you can pinpoint to the QS. But if you don't even provide, how do you expect the QS to capture the cost? So you can do conceal fix. In all our standing seam roof, because it pay high premium, we never do a screw fix, conceal fix. But similarly, you can also do for normal deck, just the cost. Okay, how nice, how neat, right? No worries. Then all these, I think these are all typical details I'm trying to show. If you look at the normal clip profile, of course this is screw fix. Again, here can be concealed. You can put a zag and fold it back. That's concealed. You got to pay for the zag, got to pay for the workmanship. This is the facial board, and if there's no facial board, you can use the flashing as your facial, like in this case. So there's no facial board, and we take it all the way down to your soffit member and have your ceiling. We can do a bit of anti-gravity drip there. So just like this standing seam. The beauty of standing seam is you can see, sorry, again. Okay. You can see you don't have a flashing covering at all. This is just a vast difference in detailing. This is an if of a typical profile, and for the standing seam, you can see standing seam is actually we have fold back, and the flashing is also double fold. You can have a cornice design, whatever, depending. Again, this oil canning is a concern. having shown that, you say, okay, I apply this, and then you have 400, then you're in trouble because flat surface oil canning. So you can actually break that flatness using this kind of treatment, right? So you strengthen the profile, you reduce the flat surface, and this becomes static, like cornice design. So here you see the typical corrugated profile. This is the top. Now a lot of mono pitch roof, right? One slope, there's no ridge capping. So what you get, you have to cover your flashing over your profile. Correct, this is typical. But when it comes to standing seam, it's different. Both sides can be the same detail. And the side gable end also. So all the flashing are below the roof. You got very nice treatment all around, regular. The normal profile, because of the cap over and must come below at the eave, you got very different outcome. So you want a nice bungalow with this kind of effect, standing seam is the best. So again, these are flashing you cannot avoid. What I see commonly specified is cut roof, most standard practice cut roof. Cut roof is sealed, right? You all do this? If you don't specify, also by default. But I've done a project as a subcontractors. I've seen the worst kind of workmanship, and from there it sort of drawn me to say this might not be the best approach. This approach depends very much on your brick wall plastering works. I have a project, a light industry. My package is contractor A, another supplier do contractor B. Contractor B got no leaking issue, but mine always leak. And the developer is very angry. He said, why your competitor do such a good job and you don't do? But my contractor workmanship was so poor, the plastering on the wall, if you magnify it, is like a ulang. So when you cut roof, you only cut 20 mm. The depression is much more than 20. It doesn't bite into the plaster. So surely it does not work. That's the point. Your plastering poor, this will give you headache. Right? Because the flashing is as straight as a ruler. Goes in and out, you only tuck in 20. So some of your project could be having this problem. Go check the plastering work. Now we would like to have a safe one. Again, if you don't provide the drawings, you don't capture, you will never get this. So what I call double protection. And I don't like personally, from my experience, I don't like to cut roof. It's a cost to use a diamond cutter. Unless your flashing quality, your plastering is absolute. So I do open to collect the silicone, right? So if your walls go zigzag, I got more silicone infill. And the biggest problem is some projects got people moving up and down the roof, cause movement. And when you have movement, what happens is, when this thing moves, the flashing also will move. The worst thing is somebody step on this. So what happened? Right? The silicone will break. So it was perfect before, 2 months later, wiping. So what you get after many years of complaint, the silicone is so thick, it's unrecognizable already, it's so thick. So that is a common problem. Now with this can move, but you got your upper flashings that is independent. So if you want the best secure flashing, I would recommend this. These are a lot of louvers. There are so many possibilities, it's difficult for me to say it's a typical, right, a window. Again, today, even in warehouse in KL, we got double skin cladding, insulated double skin, single skin, too many variations. But whatever it is, there's always a detail that can be derived. So I want to share one more thing in double skin roof with skylight. Anyone done that before? Your not single skin is very simple, right? How about double skin? Your underliner must also provide the opening, right? So how do you do it? Like in this case, so I just want to emphasize, your skylight is on top. Here you create the opening, your underliner stops. But it's floating in the air, right? So you must have a support, a Z spacer or whatever to support your skylight. So if you don't specify this, then what happens in the project, like so many skylights, this cost not captured. VO. When I hear VO, everybody screams. Owner is not happy, blaming somebody. And QS said, oh, architect didn't draw the support. So you are always become the final victim. So don't do that. And also because you have these are open on both sides, right? So you must also have a flashing to cover these two ends. And this, I can tell you, is a lot of cost because, you know, both sides meter run on your big warehouse is a lot. And that cost is by no means small. If you don't detail it, you're in trouble. Really in trouble. Okay, then the final part of sharing for flashing is very interesting. I've shared with QS, I've shared with everybody, now I share with students. I tell these students, when you graduate, please take note, don't copy paste. Don't think your senior knows best. Your senior copy paste, you don't copy paste because you challenge your senior. There is no such thing as standard practice, flashing must be GI. You look back at your contract, really look back at your BQ. I'm sure some of your contract are stated by the QS GI flashing, right? And just to show you standard. I hope this is not your project. If it is, please take action. This is a flashing 22 gauge galvanized iron as described. This is lucky based on solder joint. I don't know where they copy from. Nobody solder flashing anymore, right? So this is the copy paste for sure. Now, can you tell me what's wrong with this 22 gauge optic? Anybody knows? And it's your project. Alright? The project guy called, hey boss, 22 gauge, I'm on check. Berapa tebal Don't know, right? Loosely is 0.7. But then again, there are different gauges. So, why I highlight? Because this has become like a standard for flashing specs, always gauge number. These are all colonial times. Wire gauge, yes. BRC wire gauge, yes. So you specify again GI flashing for Ziegler roof. The flashing corrode much earlier. So what's going to happen? And this is another one where it's a colored material. On the GI, what you do? You put paint. Wow. Red jacket. Brand comes out. Undercoat everything. You look at your residential house. I stayed in the terrace house those days. The first to go is a party wall flashing, right? Because this is specs. And you paint on site, there's no adherence. Would you send your car to a workshop that has got no oven? I can pay you $500 to paint your car, and you say, wow, sale of the century. You just spray over it, just like what happened here. There's no adherence. You have to oven bake, right? So this one you get paint killing, no adherence. Okay, here, one single project. This one, very professional, very technical guy. He can even distinguish. He wants gauge 10 on this part and gauge 20 on the other part. very sophisticated specification. His actual project I took out, thought very interesting. Okay, two things to highlight. The thickness gauge number, of course, you ask me gauge 10 also, I don't know how thick. Right? Specify two different thickness is one thing. Now, even in actual project, as an architect, you must also be practical. I can tell you JKR in the early days, many years ago, I think the Bandaraya did a good job. He summoned the industry player and said, how come all my project came back with different thicknesses proposal? We specified the thickness. The thickness is specified is obsolete already, not even in the market. So people offer what is in the market, so you never meet, and non-compliance, so always go back to HQ. So then they update. Okay, the next big thing is your roof, especially not so big project. You specify your flashing thicker than your roof, and the flashing quantity is very small, of a certain color. I'm a manufacturer. You ask me to order minimum quantity 10 tons to supply 500 kg. It doesn't make business sense. You know what I mean? These are the challenges, commercial challenges. You can specify, but you put something very different. The contractor will tell you, oh, not enough quantity. Manufacturer then said this manufacturer useless. But it's not like that. We are in business. You ask me to order 10 tons of a certain color to supply 1 ton for the flashing, whereas the roof is another material. Very challenging, right? I might lose money for that project. So it can be addressed. Okay, here again, everything was well. You see, here the first part. Because we advised them on this part. Here the QS pandai, because they got the drawings. The QS pandai go and copy paste this. Again, painted exposed surface. Spray paint to get approval again. Alright? So it pays for you to check your tender documents. Again here, stainless steel screw. I just want to highlight, stainless steel screw is not compatible with carbon or zinc material. It will corrode. A lot of people think that I got budget, I use stainless steel. No. You void the warranty of your blue scope warranty. So, just a quick sharing, the difference between GI and blue scope material. That's why we opt to work with them as a strategic partner. And I think, quick sharing, a lot of you might not have the knowledge. You see GI all the way, right? But that is not, you're not telling the full story. GI, what zinc coating are you looking for? There's a AZ, there's a Z12, Z18, Z22. In blue scope is AZ, aluminium zinc, right? So, Z12 performance, 500 hours salt spray, already going up. Z18 is a common galvanized coated steel in the market. By default, the 0.48, 0.42 you're looking at is this. Okay? So, this is Z22. This is AZ150, your carbon and zinc one. You see the vast difference. You got to pay for quality, that's it. Sometimes it's not that you don't want to pay, but you don't understand why you pay. You're not paying premium because it's blue scope or it's Swissmark, because you pay a lot for the material. That's the message I want to convey. So, simplified roof, flashing, same material, same thickness. That will be preferred for me as a manufacturer and for you to manage a contract like this. Okay, so specifications, specify the same material thickness and specify your good if you can. And this example, you have your thickness, specify your base material, what material you want, and the good size. Good size will control your budget. I've got QS specified which capping 200 mm or 300 mm. If the contractor is stupid enough, you follow your 300, your capping becomes so tiny, then come to a dispute. Whose fault? Okay, now correct tools. This just touch base on standing seam. You must have the right seaming tools. In the early days, I've seen a project where he used, I don't know how, he must be very genius. I think he used flyer or whatever to go and see. The outcome is horrendous and not acceptable. You must have the right tools. You go to a dentist without the right tools, will you allow him to extract your tooth? No way. This little thing is very important. I can tell you it's tendency. If you don't have a rubber mallet, it's disastrous. Let me show you why. Okay, these are all nicely folded with the right tools. Like you can see, this is a real project, okay? Of course, not mine. We lost the project, and my approver is the one very kindly took the photo and showed me. He said, how come you lose the project? Look how they do their work and how we do. But nobody valued it. They don't have the right tools. Rubber mallet will not harm your material. If you use something non-rubbery, you bang or simply you really pecah. So the other thing commonly ignored is when a lot of cutting, contractor want fast work, right? They use this type of cutter. So very fast. Some even oxy-cut. Use oxy-cut. All these will create a burn edge, and that burn edge will rust. All your protection gone. So never allow that. Okay, you either use a hand shear or you have a jig or whatever ice spin. I didn't have time. I look at Facebook, I like to follow those technology. Now a lot of Changi one very good. I see very easy to cut. Right? The important thing is must not burn the edge. Alright? Like this. These are what you call burn edge. If you see your site having this, meaning they have used the wrong tools to cut. Okay, last customized details. I'm just sharing a couple of projects. One is this one, I said very challenging. It was very, very challenging. Share a bit because the owner also didn't want to use that at first. He said, hey, click profile can do one thing. I said, this type of geometry, there's no way now. There's no way. Click profile can work. Okay, it's impossible. The rest, maybe you can, but then the static is very different. So eventually all standing seam, except for certain building, the cinema roof where it's concealed, hidden nicely. Yes, you can save some cost using the click profile, only standing seam. But the absolute challenge is this water is flowing down this way and this way. So when you have an interruption to the flow, that's where you have potential long-term leakage issue. Most difficult to treat. So for example, the skylight is raised. So for all this, we need the skylight provider's subframe details to understand how we can. This was conceptual. So this side is easy. But coming on the top side, again, is easy because the interruption is here. Water flow and then got interrupted. Standing seam, if it's a small one, has a flexibility. If you use a very malleable material, you can fold the seam up. If you look at those craftsmen work in Europe, they do that. But here, it's too much water, you will somehow create some kind of a gutter, mini gutter. Right? So last sharing is Sama Square. Just some snapshots. I think for Ryan to do this project, we also worked closely and it was absolutely challenging. I don't mind sharing. When my guys came back and said, wow, so many colors. My first concern is MOQ. There are 5 colors, all less than MOQ. Wow, this is not going to be a good business deal. I'm going to keep so much stock end of the project, and special color is difficult to dispose. I mean, the gray color is common now. So just, but we managed it. I think Ryan through the project also learned a lot of things that I mentioned earlier. As an architect, you also must know reality, being practical. So the rich capital again, some sharing, I do not share all because so many details. What I'm saying is, Ryan did put in the effort to provide as much detail as possible. Okay, so that's the end of my sharing. Thank you. Yeah, you can actually follow us on Facebook. We highlight some recent projects, and hopefully you get inspired from those projects as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Aki. Good morning, everyone. It's my first time to be in Penang doing the sharing. Thanks, Brusco and Susma, for asking me to come here and do the sharing. I'm very honored to be here, seeing a lot of seniors here. It's my first time doing this kind of project, so please allow me to share this project. I will just tell you how are we going to start off with everything, particularly for this project, Sama Square. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Architect Ren from TKC Architect. We are a very small firm. We started our firm during the COVID, and this is our team. We have around 10 people. We started on year 2020, where we have no project, everyone is resting. And Sama Square Skyblocks, among others, is our first project, where we actually get it through competition. And our client, Skywork, actually appointed us to do this development, which is the first in kind in Kuala Lumpur itself. So before I go into details on the project, I just want to share a little bit on the design philosophy that we have been doing. I have been practicing in architecture firm who are very developer-driven project. So I always think of myself as architect, what we can do. So I've come up with these 4 important things, but it goes back to our main philosophy, which is inspired to inspire. I always believe that design inspiration or concept can come from everywhere, whether it is from the site, from the client brief, or even from our supplier, our contractor. One of the key things that we always believe is on empowering community, which we successfully showcase in Sama Square. And the next thing is the thing that I believe everyone have to really take on this, like what Mr. Long mentioned, you have to unlearn and relearn, which is very important on innovation and technology. We are Malaysian, we are proud Malaysian. Malaysia is truly Asia where you have multiple culture, people from different background, people from different ethnic. So how does it shape us? For us, Sama Square, why we call it Sama? I'm sure all you here know what is Sama. Sama means bersama, Sama means together. So for this project, we derive the concept from the site, or even from the country itself, which is Malaysian. Malaysian and Chinese, Indian, Muslim, like all of you here who are sitting here. How does it make us different is the unity that brings us together. Sama Square is located as a tapak, as you can see on this master plan. It is the only commercial land in this particular lot. So it's a very significant and very important place for people to hang around. Now, when we gotten this design brief, we are just thinking how can we make this commercial area more interactive, more community driven, able to give back to the community. We have never heard of this term until now. If you guys are really realize, a lot of developers started to do this, which they call it place making. So place making is a lot of things that people started to do. They want to create public space, they want to create a place for people to hang around. And this is the thing that we have been doing, not intentionally, but through this project, Sama Square. So Sama Square is very colorful. The main reason is because we want to celebrate life. In this particular site, or in Malaysia itself, as I mentioned earlier, we have different ethnicity. So for our site, right, it's actually near to PPR, which is Malaysia Government Housing. We have people from Malay, we have people from Indian. Our site is next to an Indian temple. And the apartment next to it, right, fully occupied by Chinese, because the tapak is kind of a Chinese community area. But then we have a PPR area which mostly occupied by Malay. So you see there's different ethnicity, there's different people who will have different living lifestyle, different food, different cuisine. And that is why we come up with this concept to celebrate our life. So when we think about celebration, then we think of colors. Colors bring everyone together, just like food. So then, after that, we start to look into the details. Our client only gives us one brief. We want commercial space. And then after that, no more. So we have to figure out how can we design this commercial space, particularly this is during COVID. Doing a shopping mall is not viable because people don't just go to the mall anymore now. If you ask me, I don't really go to the mall because I need to find parking and then I need to queue and then after all the shopping, I'll get lost. I can't even remember where's my parking, things like that. That is the first thing that we realize. Second thing we realize is that instead of doing shop houses, it's going to be very burden to our client. If he can't sell, then the project don't jalan. If the project don't jalan, I don't get paid. Then our company cannot continue running on that. So then we started to go through case study, studying overseas projects, studying particularly Asian project. How can a commercial project viable in Malaysian context, particularly in Setapak, this kind of area? We come up with a concept called club sandwich concept, which we divided the whole project to two parts. The first part is having a market square come food court, sandwich with a linear people plaza, and then we have a retail village. A retail village, just imagine, is like a shopping outlet, more like a place where you have individual retails, but they are connected. And then we have a big market or food court hall where people can hang around. So by eliminating the design of shopping mall, then we help the developer to save a lot of maintenance costs. Because when you build shopping mall, right, you have to have parking, you need to have aircon, and etc. So the maintenance cost, the reimbursement cost, the recurrent cost is very high. So by changing another way of mindset of commercial development, then we can bring down the cost. Why is bringing down the cost is so important? It's not only for the developer, but for the people around it. Because the people who are staying there is like, people from PPR, people from Setapak. You can't expect everyone go to this Sama Square, eat a lunch or dinner like 20 ringgit to 50 ringgit every day, right? The mall is not going to be, sustained. So we need to think of a root cause. Who is our target audience? Who is the people who always come here? The neighbor, the people who stay nearby is our main target. And that is why then we propose to our client, why not we do something different? We do a market in food court hall, which is totally open ventilated, no aircon. I can sell 7, now maybe don't have 7 ringgit, maybe Penang still have, with 15 ringgit or 10 ringgit of char kway teow, or in the Hokkien mee. So the local can still come here and do expenses in the market hall. Now, youngster, students, they want shifter cafe. They want aircon, very hot. Then they can go to the retail village. So we can target for 2 different type of crowd. Yet the whole commercial area can still sustain. Now, what about people who live nearby? They don't like to just go there every day to shop and eat. What do they need? Then we think of, why not we propose them a park? They open to the public. And that is why then we introduce a people plaza and a park. So anyone can come into Sama Square anytime because it's an open park. At the same time, we are encouraging people to hang around this area. So what we tell our clients is that don't maximize the build-out area to QS and to architect here or even to developer here. Don't maximize it. Why? When you maximize it, then you need to think of ROI, return on investment, etc. Then your cost is increasing, etc. So by bringing down the GFA, we are giving back the area to the community. How does that help my developer be convinced? What we tell them is, you imagine, day 1 you pass through this Sama Square, you don't eat. Day 2 you don't eat. How about after 1 week or 1 month? You will pass by everything, it's like, this restaurant I see this time already, okay, it's my time to try. Things like that. So it's a kind of long-term investment for our client to think about how can a brand strategist put in the mind of design through circulation. By giving back to the community, you're giving them more space to hang around and generate income in future. And it helps you to bring your brand awareness to the user that this space is not just another shopping mall, but it's a community space that I can bring my family, my friends to hang around. So this is Sama Square during the night time. So we actually designed the whole development together with the facade lighting, as you can see. So this is the PPR that I mentioned. The site is actually surrounded by the PPR area. So I'll explain through site analysis so you have a better idea how we derive the design. As we mentioned, this is the PPR area, as you can see on the left and the top here. Our site is located here, which we have a park behind our land. We see the opportunity of another park in front, which is belong to the PPR. By having this kind of land, we then tell our client, being Malaysia, even for me, I don't want to park very far away, or I don't want to have multi-level parking. I want to park and then can just walk into the shop. So what we tell our client is, you have a lot of land, why not we use one piece of your land opposite outside to be a temporary parking area. And that is why you can see there's an open parking area here. And then again, this parking area may be sufficient, but what about, when I have a retail village or shop house, people definitely want to park right in front of the shop, then they can walk down. So then we introduce another street parking in front of the shop, which is a little bit more premium. You just need to pay touch and go in. So the whole site is divided to 3 parts, as you can see here. The market hall, and then the retail area, and then the parking area. We then further break down the space into 2 parts. Why? Because whenever you do a commercial development, visibility is very important. When you want to rent a place or a shop, you want to do a restaurant, you always think, I want people to see my shop and things like that. And that is why we then divided the shop into 2 parts, so that they can see the visibility from the main road. Since I have an L-shaped road, so that will be our main frontage. And then we further introduce a linear vista, a space or a linear plaza that can connect the park here to the park here. So we are bringing people to our development. Whether they spend money or not spend money, not important as for now. As long as they come in, we want the chi, we want the energy. We want people to come to this development, and that is why we introduce a linear plaza here and here. So this part will be the drop-off area. You drive in, you drop-off for people to go into the retail area, and then if you don't want to drive, you are living nearby, there is a pedestrian walkway for you to walk through. So every time, right, people who stay nearby, they want to go to the park. They will definitely pass by this. We somehow make them have to pass by our commercial development. So in such a case that, in the longer run, whether they are shopping, eat, or they are eating there or not, it's not important anymore, because people will still come in by hook or by hook. The last thing as a Malaysian architect, as a Malaysian designer, that you have to do is always, passive design, east, west, orientation, all that. I have purposely oriented the building east and west because of the visibility and the frontage issue, but we are very lucky. Because my west side, you see here, this is west. I have a big block of building helping me to create a shape. So then we able to create a shape for our entire development. So that is how the whole design works from the beginning until the form making. So this is the linear plaza that we have mentioned. Of course, because we are in Malaysia, raining country, we still need to have covered roof. So this is all the covered roof that bring you from the retail village to the market area, and also at the middle part here. So we introduced the linear plaza from the park in front, link all the way back to a park. We call it open park behind. So here in between, we also created a pocket garden. Instead of doing a building that is very linear, organized like shop house, we purposely tilt the building. One reason is because we want to create more opening, more market garden. Second is because we wanted this space to be more funky. And instead of having service corridor, we make it like a service garden. You know, when you design a shop area or commercial area, you always need to have a service land, service corridor. By having this design, I have the frontage all in front. And the middle part is our service corridor. It doesn't become a corridor or a service or back of the house anymore. It becomes part of the gardens. That people will still pass by. They won't feel like, I don't want to go here, very dirty, things like that. This is the front elevation where you have see-through. You will drive in and do a drop-off. So this is the main drop-off for our retail village. Now, just now we mentioned we have a market behind. So the main reason why we punch through this area is because we want people to have visibility. Even though the market is very far behind, you will still see a glimpse of building behind. So it will then bring you to the market here later on. By having design like this, we not only emphasize through our concept, the celebration, we are helping our client to identify the potential tenants. Because this one is not for sales, it's like a shopping mall. So we need to find tenants. When we completed this design proposal, our client is already having 50% of tenants. Why? Everyone know, if you here, I think here got inside scoop, right? Inside scoop is yellow color, with juice blue color. You know, things like that. There's Michelle red color. So all these brands with their relevant color, they automatically come in after they know this project. They don't need to paint the wall anymore like the shop house because I already painted for them. So they are able to choose the color based on the proposal they were given to them. So that is one good thing when we design this building according to the color and the concept that we wanted. This is the layout that we have mentioned earlier. We have the open parking right next to it, which connected to our main development here. We have the linear plaza that bring people from the PPR here all the way linear plaza coming in here. Now, another reason why we introduced linear plaza is because it's a trend now that people love to go market, correct? We have a lot of hipster market, temporary pop-up market. So this linear plaza become a temporary pop-up market where we can have different events and activity happening here. The second part here would be the main drop-off area. They will drop off, go through this courtyard garden, and then they will see our market square. The market square has 3 main building programs. You can see on the front part here, which is a hipster kind of food court area. And then we have these link retails that currently occupied by cleaning, subway, pharmacies. And we have an anchor tenant, which is a grocery store here. By having all these pretty spaces, as architect, as a designer, definitely services is very important. So we purposely design the services tucked away on the corner, so they are having different access. As a visitor, you don't see the back of house anymore, because they are just behind here. You don't go through the front part. This is a view of the linear plaza, where you enter through the PPR entrance and then you will see the linear plaza that brought you in forward to the retail area or even the autumn park at the end of the space. So let me play you a video so that you can imagine how is the space going to configure.
Song Square, New Togetherness, is a vibrant hub that brings the Campo Maruwa Europeans community together, celebrating life through shopping, dining, leisure, and activities for all generations. Certified like plazas, parks, and common spaces. Our design reimagines the marketplace as more than shopping. It's a living plaza that connects people, linking the park to the people's plaza. Through a club sandwich approach, we layered 3 zones. People's Plaza and Retail Village. Each space invites community life, from dining and shopping to gatherings and festivals. Every day, families shop, gather, and neighbors celebrate together. People's Plaza has become a vibrant, spilled-out space between market and retail village, naturally fostering gatherings, activities, and a lively flow of community. Instead of conventional linear retail rows, we tilted the units to carve out courtyards and meeting. These spaces encourage people to pause, interact, and enjoy greenery along their journey. By weaving nature and social nodes into the circulation, the retail village becomes more than a shopping street. It transforms into a walkable, human-scale environment, fosters community connection, and a sense of place. The double-volume market hall is bright and spacious, inviting people to sit and gather freely, inside or out on the plaza. From day to night, it stays alive with crowds, making it a true heart community. The double-volume height encourages cross-ventilation, allowing wind to flow through and cool the interior naturally. The roof and facade use polycarbonate panels that bring in daylight, brightening the hall without artificial lighting during the day. Together, these passive strategies create a comfortable environment for daily gatherings. Even festive celebrations and holiday dances can take place freely. Sama Square is more than a marketplace. It is a blueprint for people first gathering. A place where markets, plazas, and streets converge into a shared stage for everyday life and festive celebrations. Here, community and design come together, shaping a future where every day is a celebration of connection. Sama Square, celebrating life every day.
So that's about our design concept and the story behind Sama Square. Then I have to move on to our main topic today on my journey on how to design with steel. You have heard about me designing the concept, I want colors and etc. This is the challenge that we have. When we started with this project, we have the concept and the mind that we want to have different colors. So we look into the color chart from Bruce Book. So many colors, where to choose from. So how do we get to know Swissmar and Bruce Book is that we pass through a few buildings like the project that they show us. We were thinking, oh, this color is very nice, but how can we then propose to our building? We have first identified a few colors that we wanted, and we approached the Swissmar team and Bruce Book team, then they tell us, Ren, some of the color you want, you need to have minimum, MOQ order and all that. But that's my first time doing this project, and I already awarded this project. My client already said yes to me. I can't change that much. So what we do next is understanding that there's minimum order for the certain color. I think as architect, as a designer, it's very important to engage with the supplier at the very first beginning. Luckily, they tell me that the red color is not required, the MOQ. I was like, okay, fine. Then the other color I need. So what we do it differently is, because the design is already approved, so we do it the other way around. If you look into the project, this color is already fixed. And this color, we still adjust. Actually, last time, this whole market area having 4 colors. But because of the MOQ issue, when I insisted to have the yellow color, the team tell me, you need to have minimum order. So what we did is then, we applied both of this color into our market hall, so that then it can achieve to the MOQ requirement. So that is one thing that we learn when we design. For me, I don't do calculation. It's the first time when I do design, and then my team is like, can you calculate the area? Is it sufficient? Is it compliant with the requirement? So, I think architect really have to look into this whenever you do specific project like this. Area calculation, MOQ calculation, the minimum requirement have to achieve. Because I'm not sure maybe Swissmar or Bruce Book would be able to entertain even if not achieving the MOQ. But sometimes when we don't have the MOQ, the tender price will shoot out very high. When they shoot out very high, it's either the project tak jalan, or then we have to go back to round 1, design again. So it will take a lot of time, effort. So why not, when we start the design, we look into their requirement first. What is your minimum requirement? Is it the color? Is it the quantity? Is it the profile, or is there any lead time issue? Because this project we completed in 2 years' time. It's supposed to be completed 1 year, but there's a lot of hit up during the COVID. So time is also another constraint that we need to look into it. Whether they have ready stock or not. Whether this profile is available in the region. So that is one thing that we learn when we design with the color. So this is the color that we do also. My contractor also brand me because every time I issue revised drawing, then he's like, how many times to print? Every time I print, I have to print color. Because if he print black and white, he cannot know which color he's going to use. And we change so many times so that I can hit the MOQ requirement. So I still remember when we do this project, I tell the contractor, can you guys start? I start to interview their own program, which I shouldn't. I was like, can you guys start with the reduce first? So that I know what is the color remaining for me to put at the market hall. So this is also another issue that we need to study. Because when we design, when we tender, very rarely that the contractor will submit you the detail of program, which one they will start first. Or even they submit you, they will submit by phase only. So then this one we need to look into it because we have 2 phases, the retails and then the market. So we tell them, can you do us a favor, do this one first. When I know the remaining steel color that I have, then only I apply to this. Luckily, I have sufficient color and material left. And that is why then I can apply some yellow color and red color into our whole building or the market roof on top. So we actually help them to nego and redesign and update the drawing frequently so that it can hit our requirement. The yellow color and the red color is only here. For information, there's another roof on top. It's also green and blue color, which we need to calculate from here as well. So calculation become our another task to make sure this design can go concurrent with our proposal. Also, why we have to pick all these colors is because we need to gel back to our facade. We have brick wall, we have wall, but paint is easier. They can just follow whatever color that we have chosen. And last time, a lot of the contractor would say, small area only, just paint on top, But because we are using rose coat, because of the warranty requirement all that, like just now Mr. Long mentioned, you shouldn't paint on top. So at the very first beginning, you must already able to identify what kind of color you want to use. If not, you cannot, match with your wall color or even tiles color or other colors. So that is like one sequence of things that we have to consolidate together. So this whole proposal, we not only select the metal roof sheet color, we even have to select all the wall color to match back to the metal color. I still remember during the COVID time, I asked one of the Swissma team, can you guys, move to my office and then we have to match the actual color with our paint color. So that at the end of the day, it look like one building or one language. Another thing that we learn from, designing with steel, not only on color, but on the texture and on the material. Whether you want to use matte finish, metallic finish, or solid finish. So this is also one of the things that I think architects have to explore because when you have different finishing under the sun is different compared to indoor. So that is another thing that we're actually exploring when we are doing the design. So this is what you see at the night when we have the color light up. The second thing that we do when we design this project, also I need to do calculation. What kind of calculation? Of course, the QS will help you to come up with the cost. Just let you know, our original design is made well. I didn't know how much it will cost. I'll just say this profile is nice, I want to use it. But as you can see on the aerial view just now, the whole building is basically clad with our metal deck. All this facade is all metal deck. But when the cost come out, burst almost 1.5 times than the original budget. But we still need to keep the project running. That's my only few project that can keep our office survive. So I make sure it works. So then, apart from color, you already know color is already fixed. So what else we can look into it? Thickness, you can't change because of the durability, because of the structural requirement. So we look into the profile. What kind of profile we can study? Our building is divided into 2 blocks. One is the market hall here, connected by the linear plaza and retail plaza. Zooming in, you will see our market hall here, which we have to design together with the profile. Why I highlight the profile very important? Do you guys know what is the width of a steel profile when it comes out to the side? I didn't know before I do this project. Whenever I do detail drawing, I just punch H. I don't care what is the width of the steel at all. Because I think clip lock can just clip one. But when you are in my time, no budget, then you have to really think of this. How is profile so important? This is one of our projects that we think we really do until the max and the detail drawing very details, even though we are lacking of time. Because we want to make sure this design is what we intended, despite we have cost concerns. I think all the project will have cost concern thing. So how can we as architects, as a designer, make it work? One of the things that we have studied with the team is that we have to study the profile. There's so many different suppliers, foam roller, so many profiles. How can we select from it? When we started with this project, I only know 2 types in general. I only know screw fix and clip lock. Then the other is all their, product naming. Do you guys know what kind of profile is all this? So many names. If you are young like me last time, when I just come out, I don't even work with so many profiles. And then I only have 1 week because the time is so tight to study all these profiles. So what I did is we selected the profile that we wanted, which have very high reach, yet you can see the effect of the shadow that we wanted. Second, it will rust, it has clip lock system. And third, is on the width, which just now Mr. Wong mentioned on the oil canning issue. We want to avoid all this. So how do we study? We really look into all the short drawing from the supplier. We study I still remember my office has a lot of the metal sample. We have to compare the ridge height. Whether it's the profile height we wanted. When the sun casts on the facade and the roof, is it the same? What's the width they want? Remember just now I mentioned the profile width? So all the metal deck almost come around 700 to 750. Very important. Why? Because when you have no budget to do clip lock, you have to use the screw fix system. What is the issue with screw fix? A lot of people don't like because you will see the exposed screw, right? So by understanding the profile, then you can design accordingly. I'll show you how we design it later on. So by having understand this, we really have to understand the material. I still remember I asked them, can I do flat? Then they said, no, you must have minimum 1 to 3 degree of the pitch angle, and etc. So all these small details, last time I don't really pay attention because you design roof, definitely a gradient. But when you design for facade, it's different. There's a lot more things to take into consideration. Apart from preventing it rusted and aesthetically nicely, most importantly, my clients always asking me, your design, is it going to take a very long time to build? 1 year to complete or not? Things like that. So we need to look into an efficient way, not only on the cost. So when we look into the cost, then my client tell me, you can't go stand well. So I said, okay, fine. Then we go all clip lock. Then my QS tell me, Ren, clip lock also cannot for all. Then I was like, I'm so sad already, but I still want this project to jalan. So what we do is, we then try to think of, as a visitor, what you will see at the first place. So you will normally walk into a building, you will only see eye level. So what we then do is, all the link retails, because the facades go all the way down to the floor, we only use clip lock from the roof to the wall. So it's like an N shape. Everything is clip lock. But on here side, everything is clip lock, so you don't see any screw. Anyone who pass by, they don't see it. So it's seamless. At the same time, you will have the regularity that we wanted. Then when we look into the details, we need to figure out the installation method. Also very important. Because when you apply it on the wall, the termination is very obviously seen by the public. So then we need to look into the profile line to divide them equally to make sure I don't cut extra or I don't cut lesser. This is the clip-on system that you see. We don't just apply on the roof, we also apply on the ceiling. So it becomes an N shape both sides. We've learned a lot on this. I always thought, the clip-on system, everything cut factory, then they send here. Only when I do this project, I realized, they actually cut on the side for some part of the profile. And cut is like hand cut. They won't cut straight, they will cut like that. So there's a lot of combination detail that we need to look into it whenever we come with this. That's why you will see edging, capping at the corner to hide away the detailing that they don't have. The second important thing that we learned here is on the normal screw fix system. As we mentioned earlier, you will know that there is a screw fix. You will see all the screws. If the installer do it nicely, maybe over the time you will get lost. But even if you get rusty, I still don't want to see it. I don't want to look up and then see a lot of hole there. Very eyesore. I can't. So what we do is, we look into the width of the profile. We know it's 700, correct? So we do a spatial facade details. We divide them equally. That's why you can see on top of the screw fix system, we added a RHS in front. So the RHS hide the screw that you will see. At the same time, it deepens the layering effect of our facade. And when the sun shines, you will see the layering part of the building. Different color, different ridge height, and different layer. And that is how we compensate with the screw fix system. I don't know why my QS tell me this is more affordable than having screw fix system. Maybe because RHS is easier for them to fix. So this is one of our drawing that we give to our contractor. We don't just do patching. You will see the red color line. We actually count it very detailed. Every 700 should have a division. And we also introduce skylight. Now, I don't have the issue of the Z profile that just now Mr. All mentioned on the roof, but I have issue on the wall. Why? You all know that the metal deck, only one side is color, right? The other side is what color? Gray color. So, by having a metal deck design as a facade, if you just play on top, outside will look nice. What happened inside? You go in, it looks like a factory, but I'm not designing a factory, I'm designing a commercial area. So what I will tell our QA is that I must have color on the other side. Then our sponsor tell me, sorry Ren, if you paint on top, there's no more warranty. So I don't have this option anymore. So what we propose to our clients is that no matter how, I want color both sides. So the only way is I install another side of metal deck. And that is why I cannot use quick lock because of two sides. So both sides also have metal deck. Only the roof, only one side. So all the facade have two sides. So apart of having two sides, then we need to look into the light transmission. We need to have more natural lighting to come in. And that is why when we design a transmission panel, we design together with the roof. We actually see where is the corridor on the roof, then we open the opening there, and it continues to the facade. And all this have to have the detailed calculation. So that is about designing with facade. Not only on the color, but the width, the profile selection. The last thing that we look into it when we design with steel is always in Malaysia, you need to think of climax. Just now Mr. Lloyd will tell you the calculation. I know most of my architect friends don't like to count. We just want to make sure it complies. During my time doing this submission, unfortunately UBBL already enforced. I must comply to UBBL by law 38A, particularly in KL. DPL have this green checklist. You must make sure everything is compliant. So compliance is easier when you are working with a wall. But how about a roof? Every time if you are sealing all that settled. But when we are designing market square for Sama Square, it's very ventilated. So there's no ceiling at all. We need to look into the whole system. I borrowed the image from the team. We are not looking on the warranty itself on it. We need to look into the thermal tank, which means you need to have thermal comfort. Because we don't have aircon, it's not a shopping mall. We also need to look into the durability, which we have some material that have the clean technology. So all this long-term maintenance, sustainability is one of our key considerations when we are designing with steel facade or steel roof. This is the interior view of our market square. We purposely designed it to add to 30 meters. One reason is because having high level, you have high volume of hot air rises. So the whole space is more ventilated. You won't feel very heat up. Second thing, we then introduce clerestory window where the hot air will rise up on the roof. At the same time, we allow light to come in. Of course, we introduce around 5 BS fan. Even if you have time visit KL, please visit here. We only turn on the BS fan. It's very windy, it's not hot at all. It's just like a food court. But because of very high ceiling, having the sufficient insulation, we are not having very heaty environment even when we are having dinner or lunch in our food court area here. Apart from that, when we design retail village, we know we want to create more orchid garden. So the whole retail village is having 4 sets of windows. You might be curious, having this facade, what is it inside? So because of the heat insulation requirement and also because of construction time, inside the metal deck is actually brick wall. The metal deck is actually acting as a facade for us. So by having brick wall, then you have sufficient, solar heat gain and all that, which then make the whole retail not so hot because brick is enough for you to have the thermal requirement. So this is the view of inside that I mentioned just now. We tell our client we still wanted to have color inside, but you don't see the profile much anymore because budget is also another constraint that we have. And one of the reasons why we are choosing this deck as market not on the retail is because on the human eye level, as I mentioned, you don't really not able to notice if there's any smoke here. Because inside is darker. But when you are standing outside the building, when the sun is coming down, you will see a lot of dot. But when you are standing inside, the sun don't really hit on the facade of the internal panel. And that is why internal without any profile, but you still see the colors. So when you are standing inside, at least we don't really feel like it's a factory effect that we don't want. This is after our food court concept come in, which everything is very rustic and hipster. We want everything to look very like one whole development. So this is a little bit of the details that we have for our facade and also on the roof. Apart from having the insulation, the easiest way is to get your details from the supplier for sure. But sometimes you need to look into the termination that you wanted. Like one thing that we wanted is we don't want to see the gutter hanging outside. So what we did is we have another metal deck facade to hide the gutter here. Now, another thing that we need to look into is this bylaw that we mentioned. You need to comply to this requirement. But the easiest thing for architect to take out is if you got this 50 advantage of raw wool with the thermal foil, it will be sufficient already. Just to make sure all these minimum requirements achieved. So what we did is, luckily, you can get this all in from the supplier or the details. They will have a specific type of the details on how the installation works. Then from there, you can put into your construction drawing or even tender drawing to make sure your QS capture this. Because for this project, I hope the QS, I think QS is here, right? won't quarrel with me. I quarrel with my QS a lot. Because I keep on asking him, is your BQ capture or my facade panel? Is the RHS capture? Is the two side of the thing capture? Because sometimes, right, my drawing capture, but the BQ don't capture. Then when you go to construction site, even though paint contract say follow the drawing, but the client will say follow the BQ, correct? So at the end of the day, it's very important to make sure your drawing and the BQ both capture. And I'm not sure because this project is quite special for our QS. The description they write is very general. Everything follow the drawing. So you see how important is my drawing. I need to make sure everything drawn in the drawing. If not, otherwise you won't come out with what we wanted at the end of the day. So this is another view that we have. You can basically see not only on the wall and the roof, even on the ceiling, everything is their product, but in different color. This is during the night. We also designed the store together so that it looks like one development with different color and more vibrant. And as I mentioned just now, the Linear Plaza, it doesn't just work as a garden. It works as a pop-up retail market at the night or even on the weekends. So this is at the night. You will cross through this Linear Plaza to the Autumn Park here. This is the public park. Then the public can come here and you will have a view towards the KLCC after that. So let me play you the final video to end my presentation to see how we curate the whole space of Sama Square. Okay, thanks for my sharing. Thank you.